What's going on, people? And all. We're just gonna do a quick review here. I don't know if you can see it in there, of the Thinkware F770, I believe it is. I'll probably just roll some video from it from here on out, so you don't have to just stand here and listen to me blab on about it. But so I'll start off with the good. What's good about it? Quality, as you'll see here. You can make out, especially during the day, you can make out almost every plate. 3 lanes across and you can still see. I have no complaints there. Even at nighttime, the quality is okay, I'll say, at night. They have what is it called? Super night vision or something. Some gimmicky name thing. I guess it helps. Parking mode at night is alright as well. For the front camera. The rear camera, I have tint, and so if you have any type of tint in the back, it's not going to see anything. So I guess back into your parking space at night, that's what I do. The other good thing is time lapse. So what this does, everything's recorded. The best I can explain it, like a time lapse, like super fast, but in a very small file. So it will record the whole entire night and barely take up any space on your memory card. And I think it uses less energy too, because mine tends to stay on all night. And then I won't drive my car till about halfway through the next day, and it'll still be on. So I get that's good too. And then the third is the build quality. So when you pick it up, it's got that feel like you know what you paid $400 and some for, whatever it was at the time. I bought it when it first came out. It's probably a lot cheaper now, but it does feel expensive. But unfortunately for me, the good just ends there, because ever since then, okay, from the first time I got it, randomly when I'd be driving, it would say rear camera disconnected, rear camera connected. And I just didn't think anything of it. I guess from there I should have exchanged it. But I let it go, and it did stop. To my credit, it did stop doing it for at least 7 months. So then I thought, okay, maybe an update or something fixed it. But now I can't connect my rear camera at all. If I connect the rear camera, the whole thing just restarts from the beginning. You hear that Thinkware song again, and it just keeps randomly rebooting while you're driving. And of course, that's possibly the worst thing a camera can do, because it's not recording what you're driving. And then when you go to play back the videos, most of them are corrupted. So I don't know, it's unusable right now. Unless I unplug the rear camera, it'll stay recording then, but of course then I lose half of the evidence. So I don't know how to narrow down that problem. Obviously, it could be with the rear camera, or it could be a defect in the main camera, that it doesn't want any rear camera connected. I have no way of fixing it now, because I'm a little bit over. They only warranty it for a year, and I'm just over that. I'm about 3 months over a year. So I can't send them the rear camera back, because they're going to tell me, oh, it's out of warranty. And the rear camera alone is $100. I'm not going to put $100 into another, especially outdated hardware now. There's all new models now so they're not even supporting this one anymore. So what do I look like putting $100 into something that came defective to begin with? But okay, anyways, let's suppose that didn't happen. Let's suppose you got a good one. They don't have any, in the settings is very limited. I had a generic, let me see if I can find it here. Oh, bear with me for a second. I had one of those generic Chinese camera, and I can't think of the name of it. Fuck, I can't find it here anyway. But anyways, it was some generic front and rear camera. I'll probably just put an image of it from Amazon here in the video, because I'll find it later. But it had just tons of more settings than this one did. You could customize everything. For an example, with the Thinkware, there is no custom shock setting. And the thing that really pissed me off about this was when I first got this camera, I sent a tweet to them, and if I can find that, I'll put it here. I said, why don't you have any custom shock settings? Because all they have is low, medium, and high. Well, high, or low, whatever the lowest setting is still too high for me. Every little shock sets it off, and it's so irritating because it makes that beeping sound, and it's writing to your incident area of the memory card. And of course, you don't need it to continuously keep writing to that spot when it should just be continuous recording, just daily driving. And this, what I mean by custom is this, I don't know what this brand name was. Like I said, I can't think of it, but there's X, Y, and Z, or X, U, and Y. I can't think of the three shock, whatever, I think some with gyroscope or whatever, but you could tweak each and every one, and you could go back in the video, and it's, if when the shock sensor is set off, it's going to show you like whether X or Y or Z was triggered, and you could turn that specific one down, which really helped, because if you have subs in your car, just forget this camera altogether. It's going to keep going off over and over and over every time you listen to a song on your subs. So if you have loud music, just bypass this camera. And I can't speak for their other cameras or their newer ones. I don't know what the software looks like that on there, but I'm assuming it's the same, because when I asked them to fix it, they said, "We hear you and we're coming out with an update." A year later, they still haven't fixed it, and they've come out with new models, so I'm guessing they've just abandoned this one. Let's see what else I have here. The voice settings. Okay, I think I don't know what the time it's set to, but after a certain amount of times of you turning your car on and back off, and it powering the camera off and on, eventually she's going to say, reformat memory card, something for data integrity, basically warning you that you need to format the memory card. Okay, I know. I don't need to hear that every single time I turn my car on. And the thing about this is, when it does that, it doesn't start, you can be 2 blocks away before it finally says continuous recording is now started. Well, something could have happened, and you have no video of it by then, because it was telling you to reformat the memory card, which you heard the last time you started up your car. It should be a setting in there for it to say how much you want to be warned. If she can just say it once, that will be fine. But she says it like 4 or 5 times, and it leaves quite a bit of seconds in between each time she says it. So that whole time she's giving you that same message over and over and over. It's not recording, and you've already started driving. All right, let's see. On to the app itself is just very buggy, and it never received any updates either. The app I'm talking about is on the phone. Sometimes you'll go to connect to your camera, and it'll say, I forget the message that she says, connected to a smartphone, recording stops. That's what it is. It'll say that, but when you go to the app, it's going to say no camera connected. And then at that point, there's just no way to get it connected besides turning your car off, letting the camera shut off, force closing the app, and then trying again. And then even sometimes at that point, it may do it again, and then you have to go through it all again, and it's just a gigantic waste of time. It should not be that hard just to connect something made by the same people to their own app. Then when you do connect it to the app, it is so slow to download a video. And to their credit, this isn't exclusive to them. That other camera I had, it was slow too, but you can be sitting right next to the camera, have the phone touching the camera, and it takes forever to download just a minute clip. It takes so long. It's at least 3 to 5 minutes just to download one clip. And it's not like it's 4K, it's HD. So at this point in time, it should not take that long. Okay, and then the final complaint I have is the rear view. When it was working, the rear camera, it records upside down. There's no option in the settings to have the video wrote to the memory card right side up. I do realize this isn't that big of a deal. You can easily flip it around in a video editing app when you're grabbing the video. But still, why can't that just be put in the settings? Because the cheaper camera that I had before, it had that settings, and as do many other cheaper ones. So how is it so hard to make it so that when you're looking at your video, if you want to go back and quick look at a video, why is it upside down? And then you flip your phone over and it flips it back upside down. It's just so frustrating. You have to have this camera to understand what I'm talking about. It's so irritating. I simply wouldn't be able to recommend it at this point, because if you buy a warranty on it, then maybe. If you feel like, if you're one of those people that doesn't mind, keep messing with shit, keep fixing it, then yeah, it's for you. It has a great quality, like I said. You can grab the plates. It does, I guess, most of what it's supposed to do. But I personally won't be buying another product from them, just because they wrote to me and said, we're working on this, and then they never did anything about it, and then they won't replace this one I have. So now I've lost $400 in a year. I didn't, maybe 2 years it wore out, because these cameras, they sit in the sun, so it's baking and baking and baking. Okay, but here we go through winter, so at most it sat in the sun for one summer, and then went through the winter, and then after the winter it's broke. That don't make no sense to me. How can it only last a year, and then you're gonna tell me that you can't replace it? Yeah, like the only thing they added to it the whole time it was out was the time-lapse thing. And to their credit, that is I really do like that feature. It does help a lot. You can park your car and it's going to record all night long. And on top of that, I have mine hooked up to another battery, so I'm sure it would stay on for a few days. That's the other thing. Okay, there is no option, and the other popular one, I know it has it, Blackview, I believe it's called. The option is to tell it when to turn off when it's connected to power. The lowest you can turn it is to 12.1 volts. There is no option in there to tell it to never turn off, which this option, it's for people like me that either have a second battery, or maybe you bought the battery for the separate battery for the camera, but there is no setting in there you can just slide it down to 12.1 volts to where it's going to shut off, or 11.9 or something like that. Either way it goes, it's guaranteed that it's going to shut off at some point, and it shouldn't be like that, because if you have a second battery and just the camera's running on it, you can go days on that, and it shouldn't. I don't understand why that's not in the settings as it was years ago in other cameras. I don't know. They got the cloud app out now, but of course you have to have one of their new cameras for it to even work. But I'm pretty sure that solves all the issues with the app, if that was the only thing that concerned you. But I do think they should replace mine, since it's been defective since day one. But that don't matter. A company is a company. They're only there to make money. But I won't be buying from this one again.